Hi, this is Amber. Welcome to Salt and Steel, where we live a simple, strong, resilient life. At least that's what we're striving for. And today, this has just been something that has been in my head for a while, and I just kind of want to talk about it, and I'm hoping some of you can relate. So this perimenopause thing, I've been going online and I've been trying to find out ways to combat some of the symptoms that I'm having in a better way, just because I have now hit a frustration point. But knowing my body and knowing myself, I know that I'm probably ahead of the curve. And so it bothers me enough that I'm wanting to take action. So where this all started is I am currently 48 years old, 48 and a half-ish years old. Last year, it'll be exactly a year ago this month. It's July 2nd right now of 26. So early July of 25, I was at work. It's a super hot day in Florida, just like it was here. I was driving around actually with the window down. It was a sunny day. I had my left arm out the window and I saw the corner of my eye, like something kind of like bounced and hit my arm, stung me and flew off. And I'm like, well, So that was weird. I thought it might have been a yellow fly. I wasn't sure. But anyway, this wound, this bite, and I still have a scar. I've kind of pointed out in a previous video on my arm. So this thing would not heal. It took forever. So then I was like, well, maybe I got bit by a recluse, like a flying recluse. Maybe I got bit by a tick. But I just remember this insect hit my arm and out of the corner of my eye, it went off. And I was like, okay, so I'm struggling with this bite. Well, coincidentally, while I'm struggling with this bite, I noticed that my cycle is getting messed up for the first time. I don't have messed up female cycles. My menstrual cycle is usually spot on, no big deal, but I'm starting to have issues. And then now I'm starting to have cognitive issues. And this is all happening between the time I got bit and about 30 days. So I started having these symptoms, I wouldn't say immediately, but they just started to kind of onset. So the cognitive issues, the tiredness, the extreme tiredness, I could not sleep enough. My cycle got off track to a point where I was like, if I'm freaking pregnant, this is gonna be crazy. But I wasn't pregnant, but I did take a pregnancy test for like the first or maybe this only second time in my life that I thought maybe. Like this was crazy to me. And so this thing would not heal. After 30 days, I started to get chronic headaches. So my cycle's messed up. I'm gaining a little bit of weight. I have cognitive issues. I can't sleep enough. Here come these mild headaches that are just mild enough to irritate you all day, but not so severe that you can't sleep. So I could fall asleep. Now I'm getting concerned that, I'm at an age, there's people younger than me that have had strokes and things like that. So finally I got concerned enough after over 30 days. I should have addressed it a lot sooner and I didn't. So this whole time I'm thinking, I think I have Lyme disease because I have all the symptoms it feels like. So I get on a teledoc conversation, and one afternoon, and the teledoc asks me all these questions about Lyme disease. And of course, the answers are yes. He tells me I need to go to the emergency room immediately and get a blood draw to see what is going on because he's convinced I have Lyme disease. So go to the emergency room, have a terrible experience. I have an ER doctor and maybe he was having a bad day. So we couldn't see eye to eye, of course, and he was very frustrated on why I was even there to begin with. So apparently I was interrupting something else he had going on when I swear to you, I was like the only patient there. It was nice that I got seen pretty quickly, small rural hospital, but on the flip side, I think I interrupted a TV program, a YouTube video that maybe he was watching. Who knows what it was. So he did the blood draw. Of course, they charged me up the wazoo, even though I walked in. And I never got my test results. It took me almost until October. It was a fight to get my test results. And then I had to actually go redo the blood draw anyway. And because the hospital never reported it to my primary care. So I got another blood draw and it said no, you don't have Lyme disease. So that was in July, August. It was October before I saw my primary care, and I had to address it again. They put me on the doxycycline, which immediately took away all my symptoms. So I did a round of doxycycline, which I'm not a fan of antibiotics like that because they wipe out your immune system. And that kept me from my normal, twice a year I'll do a 72-hour fast to reset my immune system naturally. But that kind of blew that. So I didn't do any kind of 72-hour fast until January of this year. Or February. I literally I feel like I just did it. Maybe I didn't do it in January. I'd have to go back and look. Honestly, I didn't. I did it recently. I did it in May or June. So I might have done it right after Memorial Weekend. So I'm trying to get my body back on track on what's normal to me. However, since this incident, I feel like I got thrown into perimenopause. So I don't know if the insect bite just pushed my body there, but everything kind of came together at once for me. And I guess I thought I was immune to some of the stuff that I'd already heard other women talking about. But here we are, 12 months later. And I have been able to get my cycle pretty much back on track. I am pretty much dialed into regular. I'm still regular. However, I'm experiencing the weight gain unexplained, the one that you hear so much about. So as I'm going online and I'm trying to research, I understand biologically and physiologically what's going on. There's so many videos about how your hormones are going from your reproductive hormones and they're trying to shut down and go to your adrenals. And I get it. I get it, but that's not what I'm looking for. What I'm looking for is a strategy, a technique, a natural way. As long as I can do it effectively and productively and healthfully, I want to do this as naturally as I can. So when I say do this, I'm talking about my weight gain, my brain fog, I'm getting gray hair. Okay. We all know, we all see it. The loose skin, trying to retain the muscle, so I have put on, I'm just going to go out with my numbers. I don't even care. It used to be such a thing. Hey, you tell anyone what you weigh. That's very offensive when you ask a woman what she weighs. Well, here's the deal. It's different now. A lot of things are different now. We used to never ask people how much money they made. We never asked how much was in their bank accounts. We never asked about weight. And guess what? It's what we do now. So that being said, I typically walk around between 133 and 135. I don't personally like seeing below 133 on my body frame. I feel like it looks I just don't like the way I look. I look too fragile, I think. 135 to me is pretty much on point. Or a solid 133. So I have no trouble because I incorporate very strict days in my week of my eating and my exercise. And then I call the turkey days. I call them turkey days that I incorporate also. So I have turkey days. I like having my turkey days. That's just where I am acting like a turkey. I eat and drink what I want and I just kind of go for it, for a weekend or whatever. And then I go, bam, right back on track. Exercise and strength training has never been an issue for me. I've done it since I was 16 years old. I was a professional athlete from the age of 19 to 20, pretty much 26. So, I kept on with it. I had a firefighter career where I had to keep up with a lot of things where I was meeting the standards of all the men too. I didn't have any accommodation for my gender. I did have accommodation for my age, believe it or not. And so did the men. When you're 40, you get a little extra time, but I didn't need it. I could still do the standard in the standard time. However, all that being said is exercise has never been a problem for me. If my diet and my body reaction to the way that my body reacts to exercise, I would never have a problem. But you enter this new phase called perimenopause, which I had to learn about, and I'm still learning about it. But I've had to force myself now to change some things, and I'm in the process of changing things. I'm going to experiment with a couple things. So what it used to look like for me to manage my weight used to be in my 20s. I could literally exercise it off. I mean, I literally did. We all did it. We did it in college. We did it after college. But then you hit another age where it's like, oh, you can't just like eat what you want and then go work out and get like a sustainability result. Like we all go through that also. So then I've discovered intermittent fasting, I think in my mid 30s, maybe even closer to the early 30s. And I fell in love with it. I fell in love with all the benefits that you get from it, how it naturally is the only way to stimulate your human growth hormone, which reverses the aging process. It repairs all the cells. It rebuilds your immune system. I mean, it literally helps you build muscle. It rids of all the free radicals in your body. It's a great cancer prevention technique for your body. I love everything about it. I also love intermittent fasting because it keeps you from spending more money on food. I tell people, if you ever want to save money on your groceries, skip a meal. Just skip a meal. You just save $20. So I worked into intermittent fasting. I worked into 2 meals a day. And then I moved from that to more of an OMAD style, but it's not super OMAD what I do and have been doing. But my body is so trained now that I basically eat once a day. I'm forcing myself to reevaluate because I'm in a different stage of how I feel, how my body composition is changing. And if you have felt that, let me know, because my body composition feels like it started changing before the weight actually came on. And this is what it felt like to me. I felt like my butt dropped. I felt like my stomach started to protrude out and my back was starting to go in. Like I felt this like weird shift, but I didn't really see it on the scale. It just felt weird. My work pants started to feel different. They just didn't feel the same. My shorts didn't feel the same. And that I noticed first before the pounds came on. So I typically walk around 133, 135. 137 is actually high, used to be high for me. When I say used to be, like 6 months ago, used to be high. So now, for some reason, my body pushed itself and it just wants to stay at least 140. And my weight is fluctuating so much that I will tell you today is Thursday. On Monday morning, when I stepped on the scale, I was almost 145. Now, I stepped on the scale this afternoon, and it said I was 140. I wasn't 145. I was 145 on Monday, but I can tell you, I think yesterday when I was on the scale, I was still at 143, close to 144, and now I'm at 141. I mean, my weight is all over the place, and I know for a lot of women that sounds like you're only talking about a small amount of weight. I know that I'm talking about it and I'm not discrediting anything and I'm not trying to offend anyone. What I'm saying is my frame is so sensitive to these fluctuations that it has put a flag in my head like, what the hell is going on? So I have been forced in my stubborn little mind, just ask Mr. Don, who's the most stubborn of the two, and he'll definitely say it's me. But what has been working for me is now not working for me. And I've noticed it absolutely in the last at least 6 months. But I started the physiological changes in the cognition, just the tiredness, the brain fog, and all of that when I got bit by that insect. And like I said, I'm not sure if all that was coincidental. The insect could have threw me into this next phase just because my body might have been vulnerable. And that was the push it needed to start perimenopause. So currently, my cycle is pretty much on point. It is on point. I mean, I'm having it every month. There's just been one time that I did not have it in a month, and then it came around, and then it kind of has worked itself back out. One thing that hasn't changed is the feeling of my body composition. I feel fat and bloated all the time. I feel disgusting. I feel like I am the marshmallow man every day. I finally am breaking down as I'm filming this video. I am breaking down and I am trying to change my mind on what I want to do, what I enjoy doing, which is the intermittent fasting, eat once a day. And I have my meals already set up and out, which is a high fat and protein. And I tack on a little bit carbs at the end and I call it good. I think I'm going to have to change. So one change I have made, because I'm all about not change. I don't like to change everything at one time because then I don't know what really works. So for example, one change I made, you probably have seen the video come out. If you haven't, go watch it. But I had a cholesterol issue and I've always had a little bit of a blood pressure issue, but this has helped that a lot. The main focus was my cholesterol. So back in October when I got my blood work and it said that my cholesterol has elevated to a ratio that my doctor did not like anymore. She wanted to put me on some medicine, of course, a pill. I don't want to do it. She already knew that. So I said, hey, she goes, well, let's just watch it. I go, well, let's redo a draw in 6 months. And that was my idea. So in that time, I'd already been researching fresh milled flour and bread. Now, when I got into fresh milling flour with fresh berries, my problem is I am so carb phobic because I know how sensitive my body is to carbs, even before perimenopause, or at least where the symptoms weren't so much as they are now. I could just look, at something and go, oh, that's easily going to put some weight on me, but I know I can get it off if I do this tomorrow, by the middle of next week, it'll be like it never happened. So bread's always been one of those things. I love bread just as much as everybody else, but I know how inflammatory it is. I know how much carbs is in it. I get it. So I've had to change my mind on bread and flour. So now the cholesterol was more important to me than the weight gain that might come with it, or the weight struggle that I might have with it. So I changed my bread, which I didn't even eat that much anyway. So I actually had to become intentional with eating bread, and it had to be fresh milled. And then I changed to a high phenolic olive oil as a supplement, not something that I poured on food. It's something that I actually take with a tablespoon in the middle of the afternoon when I break my fast. So I did those two things within 6 months. Bam, both numbers took a nice plummet. And when I went back in April to talk about my numbers, she said, no, I'm very happy with your cholesterol. And your blood pressure looks better. Probably correlated. I wasn't eating bread every day. I was eating bread probably once every 2 weeks and making kind of the smaller loaves. So I wasn't all in because I'm carbophobic and I didn't want to put on a bunch of weight. So I didn't want to lower my cholesterol just to fight some other issue that might present itself. So I'm still working on, getting over the carbophobia thing. So my most recent thing after that is I got on magnesium by glycinate. The one magnesium, it is, here, I'm going to be right back. I'll tell you what it is. Let's just make it simple. I went and got it. It's magnesium by glycinate. Now the by part doesn't mean anything. Apparently that's just more of a scientific true name to the magnesium glycinate that you might find. So I started taking this. I started taking 2 a day. These are 90. There's 90 capsules in this. This is how many milligrams? I think this is 600 milligrams twice a day. So it's 1200. So I started taking it. It does not make me sleepy. You'll hear people say that that's good for a good night's rest. This does not make me sleepy. I guess it chills me out a little bit, maybe. I don't know. I can't tell. And then I started taking ashwagandha. So ashwagandha, I'm taking that twice a day. I ran out of that and I'm waiting on Transparent Labs to send this. So they say that Thorne, Thorne, is the best, high quality if you're going to take stuff like this. My problem is I couldn't find it kind of separately. I just want to take capsules. I don't want to take smoothies and I don't want to have to mix all these drinks and stuff. Just give me a capsule and I'll be done. So that's why I went with Transparent Labs. They're out of Utah and they are a high renowned from the research that I said. So if I wasn't going to go with Thorne, then this was a great second option to get supplements. So I started to do those two things. So I started doing those two things probably 45 to 60 days ago, because I only had enough of the ashwagandha to get me through, 30 days basically, or maybe a little bit more. Like I might have missed a day or two, like on a weekend or something. I noticed after taking that, so that was the second change I made. My energy levels come up, my workouts are better, the brain fog is lifting. I'm telling you, the brain fog will mess with you. I was forgetting things. I don't forget things like numbers and names, like little details of my day that I need to remember. I don't struggle with that, but I was struggling with that a year ago. I mean, struggle to the point where I questioned if I had dementia. And I never said anything to anyone, but I'm like, I wonder if I have dementia. Or I pray to God I don't have the beginning of Alzheimer's. And then I'm like, it has to be perimenopause. It has to be something else. And I believe that's what it is. Perimenopause. It'll make you crazy. But I've started these 2 supplements and they are working well for me. I don't wake up in a fog. If you wake up in a fog, let me know in the comments, because that is like the worst thing to start your day. Like to go to bed brain foggy and then to wake up still brain foggy. It's the worst. It's like having a hangover that never leaves you, but you didn't even drink. I mean, it's crazy. So that has absolutely been a game changer so far as we're maneuvering this journey of perimenopause. Now, the next thing now this is just me planning for the future, what I'm doing, what I'm thinking about doing now. So now that my cycle is still consistent, the body proportion thing doesn't feel right. I don't like that at all. That bothers me the most, because then it becomes a self-image problem. But I am looking at having to maybe do a little bit different way of intermittent fasting. And that's going to include, I think I'm going to try this. I was never a fan of this, ever. I'm just telling you now, I have never been a fan of freaking counting. I don't count grams of protein. I don't count macros. I've never done that. And my blood work has been impeccable. For years, I've never had to be on a supplement except for vitamin D. Everything else, my proteins, all my blood work comes back fantastic. I've always had that little bit of elevated good and bad cholesterol, but the ratio was perfect, that my doctor at one point said, your arteries are so slick, it's insane. So I've never had deficiencies. And it's probably because I eat a lot of red meat. Red meat is fantastic. However, it's not enough, I don't think, in the stage I'm in. So here's the 2 things I'm looking at doing. I'm not started yet, because I don't like to change a lot of things until I know that something works or it doesn't. Because if I throw too many variables in there, I'm not quite sure what's working and what's not. The supplements are working. The bread and the olive oil is working. Good, check. I think I'm gonna go ahead and bump up that protein. So I've ordered the carnivore bar. I've been avoiding that, but if it means that I can get my protein up, I'm gonna try it. I even am trying to order sardines. Sardines seems to be a thing. I don't like sardines, but I'm going to try boneless, skinless sardines. And I've heard if you get a better quality, because I've talked to some people about it, that it's way better than what you get at the dollar store, the grocery store, or Walmart. So my goal is I'm going to try to hit that, at least the minimal, the 0.5 grams of protein per body weight. I'm going to shoot for a gram per body weight. My challenge is going to be this. 1, I don't like eating multiple times a day. I don't like it. I'm going to have to eat more than 1 time a day. I'm going to have to time it, and then I'm going to have to be strategic. So the foods that I'm looking at accomplishing this protein goal are going to be eggs, 4 eggs. I've kind of come up with a plan. Seems to be a go-to. Greek yogurt, which I have started a little bit of that this last week, just a little bit, like half a cup a day, and that's fixing my gut issue. I forgot to mention, I've noticed my insides feeling very disgustingly. And that little bit of Kabat, I'm using Kabat Greek fat yogurt, the milk fat yogurt, seems to be helping. I'm becoming a fan of that. So I think I'll bump up the yogurt because it's got a lower carb content and a higher protein fat. So I'm going to try that. If I got to back off to the non-fat, I will, but I'm going to start with the milk fat. So I'm planning on doing that. I'm also going to plan on keeping with my red meat. I'm going to do that. I've got some beef sticks that I eat. And there was something else I thought I was going to do. But my goal is to hit at least 79, 80 grams to start and then try to work it up from there. I'm not into creatines. I'm not into synthetic lab-made powders that go in your drinks. I've stood by, even 10 years ago, if you go back to my old channel, The Hormone Hack, if it's not natural to your body, I'm not going to, why would you expect it to work naturally? The other thing about it is when I think about food and I think about, like, even in biblical times, like would Jesus found a jug of creatine on his walk? Would the ladies have found this vitamin or mineral? You know, there's biblical things and concepts that worked back then that are absolutely now, and that's going to be one of my future research to see what was eaten, how it was eaten. And fasting obviously was a thing back then because they weren't eating all day long. There's the hunter and gatherer concepts, but you know, they were doing that in ancient days. So we're going to explore some of that in the future. So for now, I'm going to work on bumping up my protein. My challenge is going to be not bumping up carbs, best of my ability. And I'm not really concerned about calories. I kind of don't care about calories. I'm concerned about carbs and sugar. So I got to make sure that is all balanced as I break out of my fasting regimen that I love so much and develop this. And we're going to try it. The other thing I'm going to do is I love raw milk. Oh my gosh. Secret, besides beer, I love raw milk. And I'm going to have to kick out raw milk for a little while. I've had it quite a bit lately, and that could be part of it too, but I'm going to back off on it. I like it, but I need to back off on it. Yes, I've backed off on the beer. I've completely backed off on that too. So I'm being mindful and I'm being intentional, and I'm trying to maneuver through this. So this is a journey. You're going to hear about this. Sorry, guys, that you're going to, but you're going to hear about it. And I want you guys to talk to me about it, because all the videos I'm finding they want to tell you about the scientific things that go on with it and the biological things that go on with it. But when I type in how to lose weight in perimenopause, they give like 6 tips. It's like, oh, sleep more, bump up your protein. Oh, and by the way, your ovaries are doing this and this and this. I don't want that. I need a strategy. I need a couple pointers to try, and through my gathering of information, the next 2 things I'm going to try is bumping up the protein through trying sardines in a different way, eggs, and I'm going to work on just experiment with these carnivore bars. It's tallow. It's like 3 ingredients. It's red diamond salt, which I'm already using. It's grass-fed tallow, grass-fed beef, and then I think they put in some seasonings to kind of to juice it up. So aside from that, I'm going to work on it. So I will keep you posted. If this starts working for me, and I know I'm being petty over less than 10 pounds or about 10 pounds, but it's petty enough to me that I don't want to buy new clothes. I don't like the disproportion that's going on in my body, and I feel like we're ahead of the ball game and we can fix it. So if there's anything that's worked for you, let me know in the comments. Sorry that I ranted and raved on this, but I just feel horrible. Like, I feel like garbage most days that way, but now that my head's cleared up, I can separate what's going on with my body and my head, and that's a good thing. Because before it got depressing in my mind, I just didn't say anything about it. It's just like, is this how the rest of my days is going to go? You know, going into my 50s in a couple years, like, this is nuts. This isn't a life. You know, you spend your 20s getting educated if you need to, and you jump on a career and you go and you have kids. 30s, you have kids. I mean, I got married when I was 31 and raised one, and she's 26 now. And it's like, then you continue to climb that ladder, and then you get in your 40s and you have all that energy. At least I do. And if maybe you are that way, but I mean, like, I run and gun. I don't quit. Like, I'm a go-getter. And when I don't feel in my head that I can go get, something's wrong. And I don't like that. I don't like that at all. So we're going to try to see what we can do about it. So thank you for tuning in to Salt and Steel. We're salty because of the things that are happening to us. And I'm a little salty because I live in Florida, but we're going to be steel, and we're going to plunge through it, and we're going to get through it together, and we're going to come on the other side. So in 5 years, when we see this video, we're going to laugh at it. Hopefully. That's the goal anyway. So thank you for tuning in. Stay simple, strong, and resilient living.